the black and gold, now let's go. It's rainbow that way. Any competition, yeah, we coming to get you. Let's go. Saints fans, hand up now. Let's hear it for the black and gold, now let's go. It's rainbow that way. You better run it high, cause we coming to get you.
Saints plus soul equals Super Bowl. Act J, act soul, now you been told. Black and gold, we on a roll, and we big and bold. You opened up your mouth, now you're knocked out cold. We coming to get ya, I bet you won't win. Left hook, right hook, again and again. We got that high-powered offense with that lethal punch. We're the bullies of the block, and we'll take your lunch. So to all of my who-dat across the land, and to all other teams that don't understand, we coming to get ya, I go, the Super Bowl. We gonna beat the Lombardi, black and
Everybody, let's go. Saints fans, stand up now. Let's hear it for the black and gold, now let's go. It's rainbow that way. Any competition, yeah, we coming to get you. Let's go. Saints fans, stand up now. Let's hear it for the black and gold, now let's go. It's rainbow that way. You better run it high, cause we coming to get you. Who there? Who there? Who there? Who there?
Saints plus soul equals Super Bowl.
Welcome to another edition of Sports Overtime. I am your host, Nader Murphic. And before we get started, man, big shout out to Soul, because he always be having me vibing before the show starts with the music to kick it off. So big shout out to Soul. But man, Sports Overtime is powered by Element Beverage Company, man. So big shout out to Element for sponsoring Sports Overtime. Make sure y'all go and cop that Element at your local Rouse's, or you can buy it on www.drinkelement.us, man. So definitely support Element Beverage Company. The summer's around the corner, so you know everybody gonna be drinking lemonade, man. So big shout out to Element for sponsoring us. Now I gotta bring in my co-host, and speaking of Element, this guy stays in his element all the time. You always see him at the games. He got his boxing gloves on. He's ready to roll. He's ready to knock somebody out if they get out of line. So I got to bring in my co-host, Mr. Soul Saint. What's good?
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody?
What's up,
Remember,
Soul?
Saints plus soul equals Super Bowl
Yes, sir.
2022.
That's where we trying to go this year for sure, man. Definitely. Now, we got a special guest on Sports Overtime tonight. So this guy, he doesn't show his face, but he knows what he's talking about. He will drop stats on you left and right. He will debate you left and right. Listen, when he starts debating people on Twitter, all I do is I put the eye emojis. I just be zoomed in, just watching him go off on, on whoever he's debating. But this guy is an Amazon best-selling author. He came out with the book Jameis Winston's Derangement Syndrome. He knows everything about Jameis Winston. So let's introduce our special guest, man, Mr. One of One. What's going on?
How you guys doing? I'm happy to be here.
Doing good, man. Doing good, and we're happy to have you.
What's
So
up?
listen,
What's up, one?
yeah, 101. Listen, man, they got so much controversy going on Twitter, on social media, everywhere, man. I always see you debating all of these people, and I seen you last week, and I said, man, we got to get 101 on the show. I haven't had him on the show in a minute, but I want to kick it off with this because obviously there's a lot of potential going into this season. A lot of, people are expecting the Saints to do good. A lot are expecting the Saints not to do good, right? But the Saints added, obviously, better weapons for Jameis Winston this offseason in Jarvis Landry and Olave. You got Mike Thomas coming back. But it still seems that he gets no respect after going 5-2 last year, threw 15 touchdowns, 3 picks. What's your thoughts on Winston going into this year with having better weapons?
Well, honestly, and I say this like seriously, in all honesty, I'm more excited for this year than I have been for any year that Jameis has been in the NFL.
Oh, wow.
Like I haven't been this excited for a Jameis season since 2014, his second year at FSU, right? So like I was excited to see him as a rookie with Tampa, but I wasn't expecting much as far as team success goes. He's going to a 2-14 team. They're terrible. They're the worst team in the NFL. I thought, he'd have an okay rookie year, better than a lot expected, but I figured that he'd have around as many touchdowns as interceptions, blah, blah, blah. Now, he exceeded my expectations. He threw for over 4,000 yards, which basically no rookie quarterback does. Josh Allen didn't do it. Lamar Jackson didn't do it. Joe Burrow didn't do it. Most guys don't do that, right? Mm-hmm. He made the Pro Bowl. To this day, Jameis is still the youngest Pro Bowl quarterback in the history of the NFL. So then going into the second year, you're coming off a 6-10 rookie season, and I was like, okay, can he be the first guy to ever start his career with back-to-back 4,000-yard seasons passing? Nobody's ever done that, and he did it. But I wasn't expecting that much from the team. So the first time that I got a little bit excited for Jameis as far as a team perspective would have been 2017. They're coming off a 9-7 season. They add Deshaun Jackson, and I'm thinking, okay, this could be a year where they get into the playoffs, they make some noise. And of course, early in the season, Jameis destroys his throwing shoulder, and that whole year he was hurt. Now he still ended up leading the league in 300-yard games, even though he only played 11 games, right? 13 on the stats, but 11 full games, and he led the league in the in 300-yard games. But then after that, it was just kind of like, okay, well, it's the Bucs, it's Tampa. I'm looking at all their metrics, and they're just terrible as a team. And so I never expected much. So this is the first year that I've sort of expected kind of what I expected his second year in college, where I'm really excited about the full team around him, not just him. Sure, I want to see what kind of numbers he puts up in metrics and stuff like that. And I'm usually pretty good at predicting the metrics, not just the counting totals. But I want to see him now with an actual loaded roster, which he has. Last year I would say is the best team that he's ever had. But they had one of the worst wide receiver and tight end core in football, right? Definitely. But still they were the best team he's ever had. Now this year, to me, they're souped up. They're way better than they were last year. I mean, when you've got your number 1, number 2, and number 3 wide receiver from the year before are now your number 4, 5, and 6 wide receiver, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's true. I actually brought that point up last week on the show. It's crazy how you have Callaway at 1 and now he's what, 4th? Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I'm super excited for this season. I'm excited to see, how Dennis Allen does as a head coach. I think he got a raw deal in Oakland. Who, what coach is going to be expected to win when your quarterbacks are Terrell Pryor, Matt McGloin? Right. I mean, come on. So I think Dennis is going to do a good job. I think him and Jameis have a nice rapport. I'm really excited for the season.
Yeah. Last week, I read a comment on Facebook that said the last time Jameis had weapons like this, he threw for 30 interceptions. Do you think people harp on the 30 interceptions too much, especially being in that, Bruce Arians system, which was an air-out system,
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't get away from the 30, right? It's a historical fact. It's on his sheet. But when people look at that season, that's all they do. They just focus on the 30, right?
Right.
So he led the league with interceptions. Okay, there's a ton of quarterbacks that are in the Hall of Fame that also led the league in interceptions one year, right? And I saw the, I've sent a bunch of stuff towards Dan Orlovsky and stuff like that, and we have a mutual friend. From what I know, Dan doesn't like me that much, but now he's sort of on the Jameis train, which is nice. So I'm hoping he reaches out and we can connect. But I saw he did a segment on First Take with Stephen A, right? And Stephen A has been hating Jameis for years.
Oh, man.
Spews all sorts of nonsense. The guy's kind of clueless when it comes to the data anyways.
But
Orlovsky was on there and Stephen A brought up the 30. And he said, has anybody else thrown 30 with Bruce Arians? And Orlovsky's answer was simply no, but Jameis also threw 30 touchdowns. Well, that was kind of a weak answer because he could have turned around and said, Stephen A, is it more important, how many interceptions you throw or to make sure that you throw more touchdowns than interceptions? And Stephen A would have said, well, of course you got to throw more touchdowns than interceptions. Mm-hmm. And he could have said, okay, so Jameis threw 10% more touchdowns than interceptions. Do you realize Peyton Manning in his first season threw less touchdowns than interceptions with Bruce Arians?
Exactly.
Big Ben threw just 2 more touchdowns than interceptions in his second year with Arians. Carson Palmer threw just 2 more touchdowns than interceptions in his first year, and he was a 10-year veteran. Right. So, I mean, and then you can look at, say, a Brett Favre. Would you rather have a guy not throw 30, throw just 29 interceptions like Favre did with 20 touchdowns? Or would you rather have a guy throw 1 more interception and 13 more touchdowns? Because that's what Jameis did.
Right.
So when you actually look at Jameis's first year with Arians, it was better than Peyton Manning's first year with him. It was better than Big Ben's second year with him when he didn't have a strong run game. It was better than Carson Palmer's first year. And even though people point to that 2019 of Jameis and say it was a bad year, even in his 30 interception season, he had a better total QBR than Russell Wilson had this year. This year.
Yeah.
Right? And people are still talking about Russ as some quarterback god, and now Denver's a Super Bowl contender. Russ was worse last year than Jameis was in 2019 by quite a bit. Like, I mean, when you're number one in the entire NFL in yards, number 2 in touchdowns, and you carry the number 4 scoring offense with no run game, okay, yeah, you led the league in interceptions. So tons of quarterbacks have done that.
It's true. Nah, it is true. We were talking about that last week on the show. You know, I just feel as though they harp on it so much. It's just kind of like, you know, like I was saying last week, you know, when somebody messes up in life, they always hold that against them, you know. And I just feel as though they always hold that against Jameis having the 30 picks that year. And it just sucks overall. Obviously, you know, it's there. It isn't going to go away. It happened. But it's what you do after that, right? And now he's on a new team. Now he has a new system. Now he's bought in. You know, he has better weapons. So I don't know. I just feel as though the sky is very high for Jameis going into this year. But I want to ask you this, because obviously I've seen the, you know, interactions you've had with Saints fans on Twitter, especially, and I just want to get your take on this. But like, how weird is it to see so-called Saints fans want Jameis to fail? Because I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm used to it from his Tampa days, right? When he came into the NFL, I kind of had a thing, and it was anywhere but Florida, right? I figured that and I'm talking not just Tampa, but also Miami and Jacksonville. I thought any team outside the state of Florida, the fan base would have backed him a lot more. Because when you're going into Tampa, you've automatically got all the Miami fans against you. And I'm not just talking about Dolphin fans. I'm talking about Bucks fans that are also Miami Hurricane fans, right? And you've got all the Gator fans against you. So Bucks fans that are also Florida Gator fans, because they all hated Jameis because he was a Tallahassee legend. He was a Florida State legend. So I just felt like him going to Tampa automatically, he kind of had like 2/3 of the fan base against him from the start because they hated him in college, right? And had he gone to a team, say like the Tennessee Titans, like why? There's no reason for them to hate him. He wasn't even in the SEC. Like there wouldn't have been that animosity there.
Right.
And then, you know, I dealt with media and fans, you know, for years there with him in Tampa, and it was that way. It was, they would have rather seen their team fail if that also meant Jameis failed, then see their team succeed if that also meant Jameis succeeded. And I see some of that with certain people in the Saints fan base. I think the Saints fan base is way more logical. I think they're just smarter fans, and I think they backed Jameis a lot more than the Tampa fans did. So I appreciate that. I respect that. But I do see some just downright wackos, both in the Saints fan base and in their media. Like there's a couple loons in the media too.
I'm not one of those people.
No.
You know, I talked about that on my show also, you know, and, you know, you see quarterbacks get second chances all the time, man. And, you know, for them to just keep hating on this guy, and, you know, it make you think it's something other than that. And we know that racism is out there. You know, we know that that's out there. So, you know, it's going to be hard for a black quarterback anyway. So, you know, with that being said, you know, it seems that Jameis is even hungrier after the injury last year against his former team, the Bucks. The Saints went after Watson. That added more fuel to the, you know, with a bigger chip on his shoulder as well. Do you think that added more fuel to him coming back and proving the doubters wrong and proving that they didn't need Deshaun Watson?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was talking to another media member about this, and he was asking, like, you know, how do you think Jameis is doing, like, mentally and stuff? And I said, one thing, I don't think there's ever an issue of confidence with Jameis Winston. I mean, ever. Like, I think you could put Jameis in a room with Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Jameis would think he's the best dude in that room. Like, you know, he might realize he's not, you know, the veteran they are. He might realize he hasn't accomplished as much. But I think he'll say, well, there's plays I can make that y'all can't make. There's throws I can make you won't even attempt, right? So I don't think confidence has ever been an issue with him. I think he's probably got as much confidence as any quarterback in the NFL. But part of that is also, yeah, I mean, you know, playing with a chip on your shoulder just naturally and having that. I mean, this is a young man that was getting death threats in high school because he chose Florida State over Bama, right? He's a Bama boy, and people wanted him to go to Alabama. So he's been dealing with craziness for forever. So I think the chip on the shoulder thing is sort of a natural thing for him. I don't know that it added a whole lot. I think probably when the Deshaun Watson stuff happened, he's probably just kind of laughing like, "Oh, okay, so they want to downgrade." Like,
Yeah.
And I'm not personally saying it's a downgrade. I mean, yes,
Yeah,
Deshaun's a fantastic quarterback, but I mean, I think that's probably how Jameis was looking at it. Like, well, that's stupid. Why do they want to downgrade?
Yeah, I mean, if you're confident, definitely you're gonna feel that way for sure.
Yeah.
You definitely
And like you're saying, about second chances. I mean, it is kind of sad because, especially with like some of the people in the Saints fan base and stuff, is like, do they not remember who Drew Brees was? Like, he was a guy that was cast off by his first team.
right.
He was a guy where the fan base of the Chargers turned on him and turned on him quick. I mean, I've got an article that I've tweeted out a few times, and just a small quote from it. It says, it's talking about Doug Flutie. It says, Flutie, 41 years old, has become a 5'10" circus act, pulling out an occasional thrilling win, but otherwise going 7-14 in 3 seasons. Drew Brees, the so-called quarterback of the future, was benched for 5 games last year and is 4-16 in his last 20 starts. Like, Drew had a season where he threw more interceptions than touchdowns. It wasn't until Drew's 3rd year in the league where he ever got more touchdowns and interceptions than his career numbers. Like, Jameis has never done that. He's never had seasons that bad. And yet, the Saints fan base embraced Drew, pretty quickly. I was talking to another Saints media member, and he was telling me, he's like, a lot of the Saints media is young, and they may not even remember, but there were people that were mad when the Saints signed Brees. There were media members that were mad, and there were fans that were mad because they thought he was a bum. They thought he had a jacked shoulder, and he had been benched for Doug Flutie, and he was garbage. Yeah. So,
I remember.
Yeah. But now, Brees is a legend, and that's great. But Jameis has a better resume, like through the same age as Drew, and he has more talent. I mean, honestly, I think you just sit down and talk to Sean Payton off the record and say, who's more talented, Jameis or Drew? I think it'll take him half a second to say Jameis. And I love Drew. He's an all-time legend. Jameis may never have the full career Drew had. He may never rank as high on the GOAT list, et cetera, et cetera. We don't know. We'll see what happens, but he is more talented. Like that's an objective fact. It just is.
No, you're right. And there were people that didn't want Drew Brees at the time, but also too, you got to understand we were kind of desperate at that moment. Obviously Hurricane Katrina had just hit, and we needed somebody to revive the city, and they just obviously it was between them and the Dolphins at the time, and a lot of people said, "No, man, we don't want him. We want." At the time, they were trying to get Dante Culpepper. They wanted Dante Culpepper, and then they ended up getting Drew Brees, and then the rest is history. But as far as the contract's concerned, though, because I know last time we talked, we were talking about the contract and what it could look like and what it could be. Were you satisfied with how his contract played out and the extension that they gave him?
I mean, I think he could have gotten quite a bit more from the Colts. They wanted him. They were ready. They had the jet coming to get him, and he said, no, my heart's in New Orleans. So I think he could have got paid more from the Colts. I'm really happy that he stayed with the Saints. Like I'm really happy about that. I think,
me too.
Before the draft and before free agency unfolded, I actually was having a talk with his dad, and I was kind of laying out sort of like the prospects of what I thought about different teams for Jameis. And I was telling him that, the Colts, in my mind, actually may offer the best statistical advantage as far as putting Jameis in the best position to succeed as an individual quarterback because of their offensive line, because of their insane running game. Like their run game's ridiculous, right? And they had a ton of cap space. And I was thinking, well, maybe this will be the year that they kind of use some of that and go get maybe an Allen Robinson, et cetera, et cetera. And I didn't know exactly how the Saints offseason was going to play out. But now, looking back, hindsight 2020, I mean, Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, they get Jarvis Landry, they bring in Tyrann Mathieu, and the Colts, again, didn't really spend their cap space. Like, they haven't really improved their offense much at all. Okay, great, they got an old quarterback, cool. But I mean, I'm thrilled. Yeah, I mean, I'm thrilled that Jameis went with his heart, stayed in New Orleans. Right. I had tweeted out, during the process, like, he's loyal to a fault. And somebody asked me, how come you're using a painting of him wearing the number 3? He's number 2. And I said, I was like, I just used the shush emoji, I think. And then after I was like, because it's his third year in New Orleans.
Nah, but you're absolutely right though, and it's just crazy, man. Like you said, to see the Colts not spend that money. That's one thing about the Saints.
Right.
They will spend their money. They don't care if they're over the cap. They'll maneuver away. They'll make it happen. So
they're gonna make it work.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. I have a ton of respect for Mickey Loomis and Kai, and their whole team is amazing. Like it really is. It really is.
Definitely.
We last week a couple of times I had a guy named D Winston. I don't know if you know him, but he's Jameis Winston's cousin.
Oh yeah, I know D.
Yeah, and we had him on the show a couple of times. He'll let us know how Jameis is doing, and little things like that. And he wants to keep everything on the hush. He'll tell the family not to talk too much about this or that. Especially the time when he was waiting to see, where he was going to go. But Drew Brees came out last week saying he might want to return to football. Obviously, he handed the keys to the Ferrari to Jameis. We saw that on the sideline and everything. And I just want to know your thoughts on Brees potentially wanting to come back. And, what would that mean for Jameis if DA decided, I'm going to bring Brees back?
I mean, for Jameis, I think that would mean that he'd have another guy to hold a clipboard for him, and to to give him some advice. I thought it was funny, like when Drew did that. I think it was just a joke. It's just Drew being Drew.
Yeah.
But I thought it was funny when he did that. Cam Jordan chimed right in about as a quarterback coach. So I mean, like even
D Winston.
Yeah, there he is. How you doing, D? And so even Cam knows, the players know. So there was a story, right, that, well, I don't want to say it broke, but it did break, I guess, on like a national media platform last week or the week before, where Keyshawn Johnson, he came out and he said that, back in 2020, that he knew many inside the Saints organization that wanted Winston to start over Brees. And I tweeted out about that, and I was like, Key's just confirming what I said 2 years ago. Like, I said that in 2020, and everybody killed me for it and said I was making it up. No, I wasn't making it up. I knew the exact same thing. I said the exact same thing in 2020. And I understand Drew's a legend. And I will say, if you look at my tweets from that time period, there was even some media that were calling for Jameis to start. And there was a lot of fans.
Mm-hmm.
I never did once. Never once. And people even asked me, and I always said, Drew is the Saints' GOAT, and he deserves to go out on his own terms. And I always said that. And there were some Jameis fans that were mad at me. They're like, how come you're not backing Jameis? And I said, it's not that I'm not backing him. It's this.
Right.
Drew is the Saints' GOAT. He does deserve to go out on those own terms. Now, had the Saints rolled with Jameis, or had they just kept Jameis in that Bucs game after he threw the touchdown to give him the lead in the playoffs, could they have won a ring that year? Yeah, I do think they could have. And there are people inside that organization that think they could have. But, we don't know. I mean, they could have beat Tampa, and the next week Jameis could have got hurt. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. So Drew went out, he went out on his sword, on his shield, and I mean, more power to him. Like, I love Drew. I love Drew.
Yeah,
I love Drew too, but I thought, Drew, if you have limited ability right now, you can't get the ball down, man. Come on, don't be selfish. Let us try to win this game, And I was kind of upset with Drew at that time, for that game. I was there, and I'm watching how the defense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing him, and they just had his number, and they put Tom Brady didn't play that well.
He didn't play good.
Put him in good field position. Every time Drew messed up, they put him in good field position, and they was able to score and capitalize off it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough. It was a rough, way to end a career. And I do agree with that. Like, I honestly think, and I talked to somebody sort of inside the Bucs, and I said, full well, go talk to Todd Bowles. I mean, the DC, he's now the head coach, but go talk to Todd. Ask him who they fear more, Jameis or Drew. Like, there's not even going to be a hesitation. It's Jameis, because Jameis can hit every area of the field at any time. With Drew, he was a magician as far as his mind, right? He beat you with his mind, and he was extremely accurate. But there were massive areas of the field the Bucs didn't even have to defend, because Drew wasn't going to throw there. He couldn't get the ball there. And so it makes it easier on a defense, And I think 2020 will always be kind of one of those what if seasons, for Saints fans. Like, what if we would have rolled with Jameis, or what if we at least just would have stuck with him in that Bucks playoff game? You know, there could be rings on the fingers, you know. But
yeah, and I mean, to be honest with you, even last year, man, the first game against Green Bay, I mean, the whole Saints fan base was just relieved when they seen him throw that touchdown pass to Deontay Harris, because they haven't seen that in a long time, you know, because obviously we know with Drew Brees, he couldn't get the ball downfield as you know, he once could. And obviously Father Time hits everybody. But again, when he threw that touchdown pass to Deontay Harris, man, everybody was lit on Twitter. They was like, oh my God, we got a quarterback that could throw 76 yards.
and even Drew, I think after in the NBC studio or whatever, he said, well, maybe this is what the Saints were missing.
Yeah, he already knew. He knew what was going on. Yeah. But you're absolutely right. They're obviously, you know, we're able to take, you know, deep shots last year. And the thing that excites me, like we talked about last week, is that, man, like now you got Olave, you got Mike Thomas returning, you got Jarvis Landry, you still got Deontay Harris, aka Deontay Hardy. Me and Cam was joking on Twitter. He responded to my tweet about Deontay Hardy. He was like, "Who's Hardy?" And I was like, "It's Harris / Hardy." He was just messing with Deontay Harris. But so you still got him, and you still got Marquez Callaway. So I mean, and you still got AK. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with Alvin Kamara. Maybe potential suspension, 3 games, 6 games. I don't know what's going to happen. But again, man,
Nader, let me say something right quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I forgot to do this before the show.
Yeah.
Our hearts and prayers go out to the parents and the family of those that was, you know, killed by this madman that went to elementary school, and you know, so we just want to send our prayers and, you know, our heart out to those, you know, all those relatives.
Yeah. And they actually just came out with a report before we came on, man. It's at first they were saying 14 kids had been murdered. Now it's 18 kids and 3 adults. So our condolences to all of those kids' families and all the adults that lost their lives, everybody that lost their lives, man.
Yeah.
It's just sad. But yeah, man, definitely. I wouldn't want anybody to experience that. That's just crazy. But Jameis, 101, I just want to ask you this. What's your overall thoughts on, you know, looking at the schedule? Obviously, the schedule just came out a couple weeks ago. What's your take on the schedule, and where do you see the record being next year?
I saw Underhill, you know, like I love Nick, and I saw him say 10-7. I mean, that's fine. It's, you know, seeing them win 9 games last year with all the injuries, you know, having to start, you know, second, third, and even a 4th string quarterback, right, for 10 of the 17 games, it's hard for me to see them not winning more than just one more game, right? So when I look at it, I think I pegged it. I did a season prediction. I think I pegged them at 11-6. You know, I can see them even being better than that, right? I mean, 11-6 to me feels like a solid conservative estimate. I do think that, you know, even though Tampa got that you know, division winner slate, whereas the Saints got the second place slate, I think Tampa's schedule is actually easier. I think it shakes out easier. Like, they don't have as much travel. The way that their buys work and the teams that they play and how much rest they get, I think it favors Tampa more, which just makes sense that the NFL would want to help out Brady more than the Saints. You know, the Saints to me are like sort of like the Jameis of the NFL, right? So the media is all like on Jameis's back, and to me, it feels like the NFL itself is on the Saints' back all the time. So
we've been feeling that for a long time.
You know, I wanted to ask Jameis of 101. You know, you've been covering Jameis his whole career. What? I mean, was it something? You know, I mean, what started you to following Jameis, and you know what? You know, I'm just what started things off with you liking Jameis Winston like you do.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just I love the quarterback position, right? So I've been studying quarterbacks for decades. And a lot of people, you know, they kind of get on me because I'll bring up stuff about Otto Graham all the time, or I'll talk Sammy Barr or whatever. And they're like, dude, are you like 90 years old? And, you know, but I love the quarterback position, the history of it. And so I try to pick up on all sort of like the best quarterbacks that come in even to college every year, right? Start trying to follow them as early as possible. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, guy like that. with Jameis, I didn't really know about him in high school. For some reason, he was off my radar. I was traveling a lot that year, et cetera, et cetera. But I sat down and I watched his first game against Pittsburgh with my son. And that's the game he was almost perfect, and he completed almost every single pass. It was insane. And I told my son, I was like, this kid has it. Like he's got legitimate NFL talent. So a lot of times when I'm watching these guys in college, like they're putting up crazy numbers in college, and people are hyping them up, and I'm saying they're not even NFL caliber. Like they're like a 6th round pick, and they might be lucky to start a couple games. It doesn't make any difference what your stats are in college. Like, do you have the talent to play in the best league in the world or not? And a lot of these guys, they just don't. You think back, a lot of people will remember Tebow, of course, because he was Tebow. He had a big name. But Danny Werfel was like that. Timmy Chang. There's a lot of guys who put up these massive numbers in college, but that when I actually watch them, I'm only going to watch them once or twice, and then I lose interest because I can just see they don't have the talent to play in the league. I don't care what kind of numbers they put up in college. They don't have the talent. With Jameis, it took 1/2 for me to say, "Oh, this kid can be a star in the NFL." So I just started following him from there. I started compiling some data on him, some statistics, comparing him with other quarterbacks, and he was just a fascinating character, right? And so then he gets into the news for all sorts of reasons, of course, right? On field, off field, everything. He's kind of a magnet, for news, right? For the news cycle. And so he was a fascinating person to just study and stuff like that. And all the data that I was compiling on him and all the comparisons I was doing and things, at one point I was just like, why not turn this into a book? Like, I mean, I've got like 200 pages of information on this kid, and I've got a lot of information on a lot of quarterbacks, right? But none of them fascinated me the way Jameis did. And I'm just thinking, why not turn this into a book? So I did. I turned it into a book. I started writing it. I tweeted a couple little things about it, and then 2 of his agents got a hold of me out of the blue, and they were kind of upset with me because the family knows how the media is, right? And so they'll play nice with you, they'll pretend to be your friend, they'll pretend to like you, blah blah blah, and then they'll write a hit piece on you. And that's sort of Jameis's entire experience with the media, is that they'll stab him in the back. And so a couple of his agents got a hold of me, and they thought I was going to do the same thing. They thought I was going to write like a hit piece on Jameis. And they said, well, we want to see the book in advance. We want to know what your real name is, et cetera, et cetera. And my reply was, nope, you're going to have to wait till it comes out. and so they're like, no, what's your name? I said, I'm not telling you. What is the book about? I'm not telling you. And then I was put in contact with his trainer. And I love his trainer, Otis Leverett. Love the guy. He's fantastic. And ultimately with his dad and his mom and him, just like, I love that whole family. I love their whole team. So now, now I kind of consider them family. But at first, it was purely football. It was purely football. It was just what I saw in him as an athlete and projecting forward to the NFL that fascinated me. That I started writing about. I had no connection to him or his family whatsoever when I started. Now I consider them family. Now I love them. But like back then, it was just about football.
How did the family embrace you though? Like when you came out with the book and things like that, were they like, oh, this guy might be a little weird, maybe?
Well, yeah. When I was writing it, right? Like they didn't want to really have a connection to it because they didn't know. Yeah. I wouldn't let them see it in advance, right? So they didn't know whether it was going to be a hit piece or what. I had only talked to Otis really about it. But then when it dropped, when it actually came out and they read it, they loved it. Right. And like, I mean, like Jameis's dad is one of the coolest people I've ever known in my life. Like he's awesome. Right. I wish he was kind of in the media more, talking more and stuff like you see LeVar Ball and stuff. And like he's interesting, but Jameis's dad's awesome. Right? And his trainer's awesome and stuff. So no, I mean, they embraced me like immediately right after that. Jameis's mom is like angelic, she's sweet. I mean, just the whole family, the whole team, the cousins, everybody, man, they're awesome.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
D put family at the bottom, so D definitely agrees with that for sure.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, Jameis 101. Even Jameis came out and said, that Drew Brees taught him to be patient. I know Jameis, I guess you would say maybe that might be his weakness. He always wants the big play, because he said Drew told him, he said, then work your way down the field, man. Don't always try to go for the big play. And he even said in an interview, I heard him say that Drew Brees told him that, so it kind of settled him down a little bit. And, he took that in. and I'm asking you, what do you think? You know, I'm not trying to expose Jameis or nothing like that. What do you think he needs to work on? You know, I know no, he's not the perfect quarterback. I know he's, you know, he has a lot of ability and the sky's the limit, but what do you think he needs to work on the most? What's a weakness that Jameis might have?
Well, yeah, I've always said, Jameis is probably the one thing is that sort of that Favre quality, which like some people will say, well, you're not really saying that's weakness. Well, yeah, yes, I am. I mean, Favre, he's one of the all-time greats, but anybody that watched Favre, you knew there was that Favre quality that could come out, be it good or bad. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that it's necessarily a negative, it's just that it can be, right? And so Jameis, I think, like Brett, yeah, he looks for the home run, he looks for the big play. And that is not necessarily bad, right? But it'll have to do with what your roster is. And I think Jameis, like Favre, trusted his receivers and wanted to put them in a place to succeed, wanted what was sincerely best for them. Like some of his teammates have talked about that too. Ty Montgomery, who's been around the NFL for a long time, he said Jameis is the best teammate he's ever had. And he talked about how Jameis is just real, that he actually loves people. He actually wants them to succeed. And that is kind of rare, right? I mean, a lot of dudes in the NFL, they're out for themselves. They're out for number one. Whereas Jameis, I think he wants to put dudes into a position to succeed. But in doing that, sometimes you could be trusting somebody that maybe doesn't quite deserve that trust, right? Throwing a 50-50 ball to Mike Evans is different than throwing a 50-50 ball to Traquan Smith. And I'm not trying to kill Traquan Smith. I love the guy. I think he's got potential. But it is different, right? Throwing a tough, covered pass to Adam Humphries in the slot is different than throwing it to Jarvis Landry. Like now he's got a souped up upgrade of Adam Humphries. Jarvis is way better, right?
Ooh,
so, but when you are a person that wants to put everybody in position to succeed, I think sometimes you can trust your teammates too much. And then when you're as talented as Jameis is, you can trust your own abilities too much too. And we saw that with another guy that had that same sort of Superman gene in him, but didn't have the talent. And who I'm talking about is Johnny Manziel. Right? Johnny had that. And Baker too, Baker Mayfield. They don't have the talent to pull off the plays Jameis does. Jameis may not have the talent to pull off all the plays he thinks he can pull off, even though Jameis is one of the most talented quarterbacks in the entire NFL. Probably the way that his mind works, he can pull off even bigger plays than, you know what I'm saying? Like all the greats, I think, would think that. Except with Drew, I think Drew really got to the point where he completely played within his limitations, and he was completely comfortable in doing that. And that's hard for somebody that has always been the man at every level and is, the number one high school quarterback in the country, the number one overall draft pick in the NFL is in Jameis, is because like you've got to kind of think like limitations. What I don't have any limitations. I can do whatever I want.
Right.
But everybody, no matter how good they are, everybody has limitations. Even Barry Sanders, who to me was like God created him to run with the football. Oh man,
running back.
Yeah, I mean Barry to me was like God created him to run with the football. But even Barry had some limitations. He wasn't a great pass blocker and he wasn't a great receiver. That's right. True. So he's not running fly routes trying to beat a DB. And if he did, he's probably out of his element. So no matter how great you are, no matter how talented you are, there are still limitations on what can be done. Just
do you think this is Jameis's most talented team?
In the NFL, yeah, definitely. Out of all the teams he had in Tampa, I would say 2019 probably had the most overall talent around him, except they were all new to that system. So, Carson Palmer spoke about that. When Bruce Arians comes in, it's not just the quarterback learning the system, it's the receivers. And for that first year, they're running the wrong routes. They're doing a lot of things wrong. It's a very difficult system. So I think he had the most talent in Tampa in 2019. But I think this year has more talent than that 2019 Bucs team by quite a bit, especially because they also have the continuity. They're in the same defense they've been in. Pete Carmichael is still there on the offense. DA is still there with the defense. Like, there's not this big changeover. And one thing, like, I talked to quite a few people. They said there weren't a lot of dogs in Tampa. There was Jameis and a whole lot of puppies. And meaning dudes who they didn't know how to win, and they didn't even really care that much about winning. And Jameis came from Florida State, where he was 26-1 and had really almost no idea how to lose, right? Like, he just came in dominating college football. And he did start to change that culture. Even ESPN acknowledged the letter he wrote, the handwritten letter he wrote. They had a playoff worthy record when he was a 22-year-old. They missed on a tiebreaker, right, to the Lions, who never beat a single playoff team that year, and the Bucs beat multiple playoff teams that year. It's just the way it shook out. But in New Orleans, I think it's the exact opposite. New Orleans. It's the exact opposite. There's a ton of dogs on this team. A ton of dudes that know how to win, that want to win above all, that are not just in it, for the money and the fame. They want to get after it. And I think it just fits Jameis's personality and what he's looking to do in the NFL too. So I love it. I love the fit.
They do got some dogs. Oh my God. Mike Thomas, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu, Landry. Oh man, it's going to be
CD. Don't forget CD. I love that dude.
CD Juice. It kind of made me mad, because they had one guy. I was
got the shirt on.
It's two things. I want to talk. I was watching Good Morning Football, and they were talking about who has the strongest arm in the NFL. So I'm waiting. I know James is going to be in there. So these dudes, they 5 quarterbacks and a couple of honorable mentions, and they didn't mention Jameis one time.
Really?
I said, how?
Who did they mention? I didn't see that segment. Do you know who they mentioned?
You didn't see it?
No.
One was Josh Allen. He was number 1. He had the strong. They think he has the strongest arm.
Okay.
One was Tom Brady. One was Aaron Rodgers, of course. One was honorable mention was Kyler Murray.
Oh my goodness.
Burrow was in there.
What?
Yes.
Who made this list? Little kids?
I forgot the guys. Man, the two goofy guys on Good Morning Football.
Oh, okay. Schrager and they don't know.
Yeah. So, and I'm like, boy, they just don't give him no respect, man. Now I'm gonna ask you, if you was making a list of the 5 strongest arms in the NFL, what's your list?
I would also have Josh Allen number 1. I would say that's the one they got right.
Yeah.
Right. And then in any order you want, the next 4 I would be Mahomes, Jameis, Justin Herbert, and Aaron Rodgers. Tom Brady, absolutely not. Like whoever put him in the top 5, that's nuts. Kyler Murray, absolutely not. Like the top 5 arms are Mahomes, Allen, Jameis, Rodgers, and Herbert. That's the top 5 arms. Right. And any scout worth his salt, I think, will tell you that.
Listen, shout out to Justin Herbert. He won me my fantasy league last year. So shout out.
He's a bad boy. He's a bad boy.
Listen, I actually posted. They posted something on Twitter, and it was like Justin Herbert is a top quarterback, and I just wanted to start madness on Twitter. It was late at night. I put top 3 quarterback, and boy, they was going crazy on Twitter that night. But some guy, he his name's Joel. He actually covers football and stuff, and he put out a top 32 quarterbacks, his rankings. And I just want you to hear this real quick. So 1, Josh Allen, 2, Patrick Mahomes, 3, Brady, 4, Rodgers, 5, Burrow, 6, Herbert, 7, Deshaun Watson, 8, Matthew Stafford, 9, Russell Wilson, 10, Lamar Jackson, 11, Kyler Murray. Here comes the crazy part. 12, Kirk Cousins. 13, Derek Carr. 14, Prescott. 15, Matt Ryan. And 16, Jameis Winston.
Oh, man.
And what's this?
It was it's this guy that he has a Twitter account. His name's Joel. He just
is that best quarterbacks? Or what
the top quarterbacks going into this season. If y'all can see it, that's the list.
Man,
and he got Jameis at 16.
He's got to get his respect because, just like last season, he started our best touchdown to intercept ratio and everything, man. He did, he just got to keep doing his thing. He can't listen to all that, turn off all that mess, and just play ball, man.
Yeah.
That's a pretty bad list. I will say, Chris Sims. You guys know who he is?
Oh yeah, we know who he is.
Yeah, and Chris knows who I am, and I would love to sit down on his show just for 10 minutes and expose him as a goof in front of his whole audience. I don't think he'd ever let that happen. But Chris Sims has Jameis ranked 26th. 26th. You're talking about the guy who was number 2 in the NFL in EPA per play and adjusted EPA per play, which is one of the king of metric stats. The only guy better last year was Aaron Rodgers, the MVP. Jameis was top 4 in total QBR and raw QBR. I mean, he's top 10 in basically every relevant metric.
Yeah.
And Chris Sims has him 26th. And this is the guy
No
who
respect.
said last year that he, after studying tape or whatever, Taysom Hill has a stronger arm than Jameis Winston. Like, how do you keep employing someone like that? How do you pay someone to talk football, hear that, and not say, "Come here, you're fired"?
Does he watch any of Taysom Hill's tapes where the guy has to stop and then wait for it like it's a punt?
And that's the thing. That's the thing too. Last year it was the joke of the offseason. It was the joke of training camp. Like, oh, there's a competition battle between Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. Like, we were on here like just dying laughing because it's like, are y'all serious? Like, literally, are y'all really serious that there's a quarterback competition between Hill and Jameis Winston? Just didn't make any sense. It just didn't. You know, I don't know. It's just funny.
Some of the New Orleans media got a little upset with me during that whole camp battle.
Listen, honestly,
I've tried to go ahead.
No, I was gonna say a lot of New Orleans media don't like to batter you. Trust me. I've been to a couple of different things going on in the city where the media definitely meets up there. And they bring you up sometimes, and I just say y'all don't want to debate that man. He knows his stuff, you know.
Now when it comes to Jameis,
you can't debate him. You know, you gotta respect him. He knows everything about Winston, his stats, everything. You know, he wrote a book on him. You don't want to debate him, but you know, a lot of people, man, they don't want to debate. They just want to post and then keep it moving. You know.
What's up, Dylan?
So, but
let me ask you this one-on-one. I know you've been following Jameis. Have you talked to Jameis? Have you met Jameis in person? And if you have, how does he feel about you following them and everything?
Well, I've been asked that before. I always say I don't talk about my personal relationship with Jameis at all. Okay. I don't mention that or bring that up. I have told some people, like, they've asked me. I will say Jameis is one of the only people like that know my real name. Okay. So I'll say that, right? So, I mean, almost no one knows my real name, right? I mean, there's even people that are in my own family that don't know I'm one of one on Twitter. They have no idea. Like, I'm really, really, really private. It's just the way I am. But the very first time I ever talked to Jameis, it took me about 5 minutes, and I told him my real name. And then I was like, you know what? You just got something out of me that nobody gets out of me. Like, there's something about you, right? Like,
talk to him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I love the kid. I really, I think he's an awesome young man. And but I mean, like, and I've also said, like, it never made, like, I don't think he really should ever align himself with my book per se. I mean, because I destroy the media in my book, right? And I mean, that's even kind of what I do, just like on the regular, anyways. And these are people that interview him and stuff. And like, I seriously do. I love all the media. Like, I don't have any. Yeah, I don't have any ill will towards anybody in the media. It's just I can't stand false narratives. I don't like unfairness. I don't like how he's covered because it isn't right. You know, like I've said it. There's a triple standard. You know, the media treats black quarterbacks one way, white quarterbacks another way, and Jameis Winston an entirely different, worse third way. Mm-hmm, like, what other quarterback in the NFL has a hit piece written on him announcing the birth of his first child? What other quarterback has ESPN run a segment about him starting a COVID hotline and bashes him in it? Like, it's sick. It's not a funny thing. It's sick. There's something demented about that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so with the NOLA media, I think the New Orleans media has been really fair with him. I think they're good dudes. Like, I've talked to pretty much everybody in the media in New Orleans, and I like all of them.
Yeah.
But there are a couple loons. I mean, there's a couple that seem to just hate Jameis and want him to fail. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you rooting against your own team just so that you can, like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
Yeah, that's what tripped me out, especially seeing the whole clip last week. That just tripped me out. But one question I want to ask you before we get you out of here is, any from your standpoint, any update on Winston and his injury and him coming back and being ready for training camp and things like that? Anything that you might know that you might want to let our viewers know about how his recovery is going and stuff like that?
I mean, that stuff really, I shouldn't speak, like, even if I were to know something, I wouldn't speak on. But I will say, like, even Underhill tweeted out he's with the team, he's involved in all what's going on. Everything that I've heard from him, like from everybody in his whole team, is that he's doing great. He should be ready to roll by week 1, and that's always what I expected, just because his injury was a couple weeks later in the season than Burrow's was, right, in 2020, and Burrow was back for game 1.
Yeah.
And Jameis's work ethics is ridiculous. And then, just seeing, like, okay, so say, he's banged up, right, and nothing changes. He just loses Armstead, and everything else is sort of the same, right? You just replace Armstead with Penning. Like, I mean, that would be a little bit depressing. But to see the team go out and get Landry and draft Olave and go get the Honey Badger, and, like, how could you not want to, pick it up, right? So I think Jameis is a warrior. I tweeted a couple Winston Wolverine hashtags before, because he was like months ahead of where the doctors thought he would be in his rehab. So yeah. I think he's a warrior, and I expect him to be ready for game 1. We'll see what happens. You never know, but that's what I expect, and I hope so. I hope
he's
so
gonna be ready.
For his sake.
He's gonna be ready. I'm excited, man. Listen, I'm very excited about this season, like you said. It's crazy because it was funny, man, because I had tweeted it on like March 9th. I was like, Saints should sign Winston, sign Matthew, draft Olave, and they did all 3. So So, listen, I'm definitely excited about this season. And since we brought you on, and since we talked about Jameis Winston, and I just want to kind of make this like a Jameis Winston week. So tomorrow I'm actually going to be giving out 2 Jameis Winston jerseys on Twitter. So that should be fun tomorrow night. But again, man,
that's awesome.
Yeah, man, we're rooting for him. We really want him to do good and be successful. Again, he has the weapons around him. And listen, if he throws for 5,000 yards, takes this team to the playoffs or even the Super Bowl, the 30 interception bullshit, it has to stop. This man, let's focus on what he's doing now and not, in the past.
Jameis, 1-1, how many wins you think the Saints get this year? What's your prediction?
Say 11, I think.
Yeah, I think 11, and I could see them getting more, right? Like I think 11-6. I'm looking at a 5 seed, just because I think that the Bucs schedule shakes out better for them. But I could see Tampa. I could see the Saints sweeping the regular season, and then maybe getting them in the playoffs again and beating them this time. Like, if I had to just say which team was better between them, I think the Saints are a better team. I think the Bucs may end up with a better regular season record this year, but I still think the Saints are a better team. And the same can be said in a lot of divisions. I think the Ravens may end up with a better record than the Bengals, but I think the Bengals are maybe the better team if they just play straight up in the playoffs. So,
yeah, I said 12-5 last week on my prediction. I said 12-5.
Yeah, I picked 11 wins myself.
Yeah, there's always,
and I feel they could do better.
Yeah, there's always those games that you don't expect them to lose. They lose, just like last year with the Giants. Right. We didn't expect them to lose, especially being the first game back in the Superdome after the whole hurricane and the roof being on fire and things like that. And the next thing you know, they lost. So it's you just never know, man.
That's true. I was talking with a buddy about the schedule, and I had them beating the Cardinals and the Niners. And I had him losing to the Steelers. And he's like, why? I mean, the Cardinals and the Niners are better than the Steelers. I said, yeah, but look at the travel. Look where they're coming from going to. And I just think that Steelers game could be one of those trap games where everybody expects them to win, and that might be one they lose.
If I'm not
and then
mistaken,
they win a couple that.
If I'm not mistaken, it's Raiders, then Steelers, right?
I think so,
yeah. So that's going to be hard, man. That stretch is just hard right there.
Let's see. That's scheduled right there.
Ravens.
Yeah, Ravens.
Yeah. You know what's going to be really hard is that game on the 27th. They're going to play it at the 49ers, and then they come all the way back to the East Coast, the east southern part, Florida, to play the Bucs.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. That's what I mean. Like, I think they did the Bucs more favors in the schedule than they did the Saints.
They always do.
Yeah.
And look, Jameis 101, I want to have you on my show. Tell it like it is. Also, man, I've been trying to get you since July last year. But I know you get a lot of requests and things like that. So I'm glad you were able to respond, and that you would like to come on the show too.
Yes. I look forward to it.
All right, Jameis 101, man. Well, thank you, man, for all your insight, input. Again, man, we're rooting for Jameis this year. We definitely want him to go hard and prove these critics wrong, man. Because again, everybody, either there's 50% of people want him to succeed, or there's 50% of people wanting him to fail. So we're definitely not a part of him failing crowd. We want him to be good. So again, man, thank you for your time. Thank you for your knowledge on everything, and we really appreciate it, man. And make sure everybody that's tuned in right now, make sure y'all go cop the Jameis 101 Derangement Syndrome book, man, on Amazon. Y'all support our dude 101, man.
Oh, yep. One more question, James. 101. I know I probably won't get a chance. You probably won't get a chance to take a picture with you in the dome. But are you going to come? To any of the Saints games in the dome?
Oh, that's very possible. That's funny you bring that up. I was talking to Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times, right? And we were talking. We were going back and forth in DMs. So whenever I talk about my conversations with others, I only say what I say because I don't have permission to say what other people say. But we were going back and forth in DMs, and I told him, I said, Rick, I might have been standing next to you a few times and you didn't even know it, right? And so same thing, man. I might definitely come to a Saints game. We'll see where I'm at. And
he's gonna be standing next to us, so he ain't gonna say nothing. He gonna be like,
right, you're gonna be standing next to Soul,
like, man, Nader Soul, but man, I can't
what's
say
up,
nothing.
dude? What's up, dude? This probably ain't even his voice. He probably got one of them voice machines.
That's funny, man. That's funny. But nah, man, we really appreciate you coming on. Again, man, thank you so much. And again, man, listen, all of our viewers, they're loving it right now, especially on Facebook. Everybody's commenting. One guy even put he loves your book. So big shout out to you. And again, man, make sure y'all go cop his book on Amazon. Jameis Winston's Derangement Syndrome. Again, it's a bestseller, so definitely go cop that and support our man 101, man.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, you guys. I had a lot of fun.
Man. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Have a great night, both of you. Yep.
All right, man. You too. So yeah, man. Listen, that dude right there, Soul, he knows what he's talking about. I love having him on the show, man. This was actually
I've been trying to get him on there, man. He just didn't see my message in July of last year. I've been trying to get him on there, man. Well, I know,
we got you taken care of. So
right, yeah, he knows everything there is to know about Jameis Winston, bro.
Yeah, man. He knows, and again, he knows his family, even D.
He might know a little more than D. That's his cousin.
That's funny. That is funny, man. But I want to talk about just a couple things, and then we'll go into NBA, talking about the playoffs real quick. But obviously, the Saints OTA started today. It's been reported by Nick Underhill. Mike Thomas is back in the building. So big shout out to Mike Thomas, man. We really need him back. It is definitely, yeah, man. It's definitely on the right path to having him back in the building. So shout out to Mike Thomas. And then I wanted to ask you this, Soul, and I wanted to ask everybody that's tuned in on Twitter, Facebook, wherever you're watching on YouTube. But, Jarvis Landry has been pitching Odell Beckham to come to the Saints. And I want to get everybody's take on that. Do you think the Saints really need Odell Beckham right now? That's my question to everybody right now. What's your take?
It would be a luxury. And, we know that Odell probably won't play till maybe October, November. You know what I'm saying? But just having him on the team, man, it'll be crazy. I know we would have to make some moves for next year when Odell is fully healthy.
Yep.
We probably would have to, because these you have to understand these are all star receivers, bro. I mean, these are all starters. Mike, Landry, Odell, and Olave is predicted to be a starter.
He has to be. He's a first round pick.
Exactly. So, I don't think it'll happen, but you never know. When you got your boys there, these guys you play with at LSU, and it's like. They talking every night, hey, bro, and take a pay cut. Take a pay cut and come on with us, bro. We can do this year.
Well, the thing is too. So if he didn't win a ring last year,
right?
I would say no. But right. I mean, you won a ring last year. And if you look at the Rams' offense last year, they had Cooper Kupp, they had Odell Beckham. Obviously Robert Woods didn't play; he was hurt. You know, they had Van Jefferson. They had some wide receivers. So with that being said,
Just
it's
say
like
no.
I don't know. I like it. I wouldn't mind it. I should say I wouldn't mind it. But
Yeah.
man,
You know, if he wouldn't have tore up
Okay.
the same knee back-to-back years, I mean, that's kind of, you know, I mean, you think, is he damaged goods now? You know, the same knee. You get 2 injuries back-to-back on the same tip. You set your knee twice, you know.
yeah, and I kind of
That's
go
kind of hard.
back. Kind of go back to what Robert Meacham said when we had him on the show. You know, those are alpha males. That's too many alphas on one team. So I don't know. But again, I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind seeing Odell. And again, let's not forget, he almost signed with the Saints last year. You know, he said it was the right place, wrong time when he was
Yeah.
asked why he didn't sign with the Saints. So
And Odell does catch fits like AB. Remember when he punched the football catcher and hit him in the head?
yeah.
The dude, you know, he might not have all his screws, you know.
Yeah. I mean, but it is
Too many alpha males,
hey,
man.
but T.O. didn't have his screws. Chad Johnson, he didn't have it. But I mean, these guys went down as what the top receivers in NFL history.
Yeah, it was 2 of them. That's it. Just like when Odell was with Landry, they was able to work it out.
Yep.
But to have Michael Thomas, Odell, Landry, I don't know. I mean, you only got one football, you know. Then you got Alvin Kamara gonna want his touches. What's up, little man?
Little man won't be on. So, but I will say this too. So on another topic, you know, the Saints, a lot of fans are just like, hey man, you know, we should sign Quan Alexander back. I think we should sign Quan Alexander back. I think having a guy that knows the system, he's versatile from sideline to sideline. I think I wouldn't mind having Quan back. I know a lot of people were pitching last week for Darrell Williams, the former LSU Tiger, former Kansas City Chief, to come play for the Saints. Obviously with the Kamara situation, but he signed with the Cardinals today, so that's off the list. But again, I will say this: as far as running back, I feel like a lot of people are pressing on social media about the Saints needing a running back. They do have an undrafted running back that they got. His name is Abram Smith. And this dude is really good. So be on the lookout for him, because a lot of people are saying, oh, we need a running back. We need a running back. The Saints gave him some money to come and play for the Saints. So, again, be on the lookout for him. And as we know, so undrafted free agents, the Saints know how to target those players, and they become special. We know Pierre Thomas. We know Lance Moore, So, again, definitely be on the lookout for running back Abram Smith. He's definitely going to be a name you need to know and be on the lookout.
And with all that being said, I want to give a shout out to my guys back here. You know, 2 of Jameis Winston's biggest weapons going into this year, man. Mm-hmm. These are the Saints vets right here, man. These are the boys. They're gonna want they touches, man. Michael Thomas and Kamara. And then
that's his favorite player, Kamara.
Oh yeah, AK.
He's a Kamara fan. But yeah, man. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Also, too, man, just want to touch on it real quick. The Warriors are up 3-0 right now. They're looking to sweep the Mavs tonight and go back to the NBA Finals, man. So listen, hopefully they can sweep them and go back to the NBA Finals. Y'all know I'm a Steph Curry fan, so I got to root for my boy Steph Curry.
And I'm the same.
Look, somebody said, Nas alert. Question, Nas, who is the Saints MVP this year? Who's going to be the Saints MVP? Kamara, Mike Thomas, Jameis Winston, Olave. Who you want?
You got, Nas?
I want either Camaro or
Jameis Winston. All right, cool. All right, cool. So, yeah, man. So, definitely shout out to the Warriors. And then also, too, man, in the East, it's tied 2-2, Boston and the Heat. So that one's gonna go to 7 games, I think. So we'll see what happens with that.
You guys might know me. I'm his kid. That's the TikTok famous one. I have more followers than him.
You hear him? He said he got more followers than me. So
yeah, I see.
This dude got like 56,000 followers on TikTok in like 3 weeks. So beast.
Look, there was another little kid that used to be famous like him named Jarius Robinson.
Yeah.
You know, you remember Jarvis was everywhere, man.
Yeah,
I hope look the Saints see Nas, bring him to the games, get him on the sideline. Nas.
Yeah, man.
And you guys can go follow me.
You want him to follow you. Hold your
But
iPad.
hey, we want to thank everybody that chimed in today, everybody that commented, everybody that watched the show. You know, we had a guy on here with some serious knowledge about our guy, Jameis Winston, man.
And also too. So just two things. One, man, like you touched on in the middle of the show, man. Our condolences, man, to all those families that they lost their kids today in school, man. Again, man, our condolences to them and their families.
Right,
Jeremiah, I did not miss your comment, bro. Prayers up to you and your mom.
To your mom, yeah, man. Mom,
I did not miss your comment. I was gonna get back to it, bro.
Yeah, we were trying to give your boy one his say. I didn't want to interrupt.
So I don't want you to think we missed out on that, but I did remember that, man. So we definitely gonna keep your mom in our prayers, bro, for sure. Yeah. Also, too, man. I just on another note, one of my friends is doing a big concert in Baton Rouge, July 1st. And it's the 4th of July weekend, Summer Jam Fest. And as you guys can see on the screen, man, these are all the performers: Moneybagg Yo, Lotto, Frito Bang, G Herbo, Big 30, Rob 49. So tickets are on sale right now. So make sure y'all go support. The tickets are on Ticketmaster.com. And man, listen, they really have some good deals. I mean, I looked at it the other day and they had floor seats for like $79, which is really good for a concert like this, especially during 4th of July weekend. So make sure y'all go support that. It is in Baton Rouge, July 1st at the Raising Cane's River Center.
Hold
on. So you definitely go support that. And then also, man, support Soul Saints Cruise. We are, we'll go with the show first.
My bad.
No, you're good.
My bad. My bad.
I was going to shout you out, but shout out to
my damn cruise.
Shout out to Soul Saints Cruise, man.
Yes.
We gonna be on the cruise. Me, Nas, my wife, and some more Saints fans. Also, too, if Zach,
I want to know this.
Hold on. If Zach is still in here, Zach, if you want to bring the wife and your son, man, we definitely could team up. We go on a cruise, man. So Zach,
let me tell y'all about the cruise. Right now until the 31st, it's $50 per person to book your cabin. It was extended. So to the 31st, y'all inbox Nader. He'll get you to me so I can get y'all a book, man. Come on, man. Come on this cruise.
Zach said, let's do it. So he's definitely gonna be down. Zach, that's my boy.
All right.
So yeah, man, definitely a Saints cruise. We got
a concert on board. We got Black and Gold private events on board. We're gonna have Chopper. We got Ricky Jackson. These are all my co-hosts. We got Tyrone Hughes. We got
Richie
MJ Anola, Michael Jackson. You look on my page, we just did a big show in El Paso. Everybody's going to be on this boat. It's going to be a fantastic voyage.
It's in April, man. What's the dates? Tell them the dates. So
April 22nd through the 27th.
We will be there.
Through the 27th.
If God says the same, we're going to be there. I already booked my cabin, so we in there.
We going to Progresso and Cozumel. Last year we went. Well, this year, the cruise, we just had it about a couple of weeks ago. We went to Costa Maya and Cozumel. And I think next year we're doing Jamaica. I mean, following year, 24.
Listen, you got 11 months to get your stomach right.
Yeah.
You got 11 months to get your stomach right. You better go work out, get it going. We on this cruise. We're going to be looking sexy. I ain't wearing no shirt.
We coming live in Progresso.
We're going to do sports overtime too.
Yep, sports overtime coming live at you because we're going to be out there that Tuesday. Tuesday is going to be the 22nd, 23rd, 25th. So, man, y'all come on.
Yeah, man. So listen, man, thank you to everybody that tune in. Thank you to everybody that supports us every week. And, man, thank y'all, man. Just thank y'all for the support. Thank you to Jameis 101 for coming on.
I forgot.
And Nas,
I forgot. Sean Jung, Saints rookie Super Bowl tomorrow night at the Moore venue in Harahan from 6 to 9. DJ Sean D is playing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
If y'all need information on that, just inbox Sean Jung.
I might have to come through on that. I love crawfish.
Oh yeah.
Let me know. So maybe we could roll up on
together. Okay.
Yeah. Let me know. But Nas wants to say one more thing. Go ahead.
Why do you do weigh-in shows when you don't even get followers? I have still more followers than you.
You hear him?
It makes
What
no
he
He's
say?
stunting on me. He got
It makes no
56,000 followers.
It makes no sense for you to be
Who's your favorite football team? You better say the Saints.
Kansas City.
Oh, hell no. He's a Mahomes fan. He like Mahomes. So look, can you blame him? Look, he look like him.
But Nas, you gonna always have more followers because everybody loves the kids. You know what I'm saying? Everybody loves the kids more than us.
Yep.
I passed him up. I'm
Long
making
time
money
ago, I
on
know.
TikTok.
Yeah, huh?
He's not making no money.
Look,
All right,
someone
y'all.
say he cutthroat.
Oh, that's how he is. If y'all listen to his videos on TikTok, you'll be crying laughing, man. So make sure y'all go support. Again, we appreciate y'all.
And now, hey, Nas gonna be on the cruise too, huh, bro?
Yeah, Nas gonna be on the cruise with his stomach out, with his six pack.
You going
All
on the
right,
cruise,
y'all.
Nas?
Well, we out, man. So thank y'all so much.
Peace.
Say peace. Say who that? Say who that? All right, y'all. We out.
Peace.
All right, we out. We're gonna go out with a little music
Yes,
as
go.
usual. Here we go. Peace.
Peace.
Saints plus soul equals Super Bowl.
Let's hear for the black and gold.
Saints our favorite team. Who that on the scene for show and no living the dream. Let go.
Before we end the song, let me put it on your mind. My New Orleans Saints get it right on time. Our main objective, put a winner on the field. Let me tell you, Saints fans, the struggle is real. Win, lose, or draw, we by their side. Our Saints are the bus that we gon' ride all the way to the Super Bowl. Look around, all you see is black and gold. We love our team, young and old. Die hard Saints fans like the king and soul. I'm yelling, who that? Who that? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat my Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them Saints? We that, we that, we that, believe that, we that say you can't beat